We are at Species Gym today, sitting right outside of 10 weeks out, so 10 weeks and some change. We are going to be training push today, so it's going to be the same push workout we've been doing for a while now. We've established A and B for the leg and the push, the pull days as we discussed last time, but you know, at the gyms that we're at and the equipment we have access to, we've just been doing the same push workout every 5 days. So you'll see what that looks like today. We really wanted to kind of delve into each exercise and give you all some instructions and cues on it. And yeah, so we'll just jump straight into it. First up, and this is not going to be any working sets done, it's more for blood flow and just get the shoulders moving, you know, really feel the muscle working, you know, build the mind-muscle connection if you believe in that bullshit. But, you know, we're just getting the muscle firing and get it working for our first press. So we're going to do these on a pec deck. Most of the time we do these, unless it's a prime pec deck, because I like how that one feels. We'll typically put handles on them because you're able to get a little bit of articulation at the handle. So whenever we're doing the exercise, we're able to get a little bit of internal rotation at the top for a good contraction, and then a little bit of external rotation at the bottom for a good stretch. When you're doing these, the biggest thing to keep in mind is you want to keep the shoulders down and back and packed, and you don't want to think about trying to bring your hands together. You want to think about bringing your elbows as far across your chest as you can. Your chest abducts, or adducts, I guess, your arm across your body. That's the function of it. So if you're like this, you're not as contracted as you would be like that. The farther that arm is across your body, the better contraction you get. So a full contraction, especially if you're a big guy, your hands will probably be 6 inches to a foot away from each other still. So keep that in mind when you're doing this exercise. One really big thing with this exercise is the setup. As far as where the bench should be in relative to the bar up and down, we want it in a position where the bar is hitting right at like the nipple line or the sternum, so right at the base of the chest when we're at that incline. And then whenever we're adjusting the incline, gonna come over here, we want to have that incline set in the way that when Brian's got his arms up on that bar, his arm's able to take a nice straight up and down pass. So if you watch his forearm during this set from this angle, it's going to be going straight up and down the whole time. Whenever he's at the very bottom of the rep, you'll see the angle here. Notice how his forearm's straight up and down. His hand isn't out there, so there's an open angle and it's not in there to where his elbow's like that. That's going to put the most stretch on the chest and take the most tension off of the elbow. People who have a lot of elbow problems bench pressing typically because their hand's a little too narrow and they have that negative angle in there. It's really rough on the elbow. And people that end up hurting themselves when they press typically have a really wide grip and they put themselves in a really compromised position when they're in the hole. So that's what we want to be looking for in terms of setup. Have the incline set up at a degree that makes it very comfortable on the arm path for that straight up and down arm path. And then the bench, you know, in a position where that bar is hitting, you're right at like the nipple line or sternum line. Really to keep in mind and pay attention to with our training is everything but the top sets. The main goal is to waste as little energy as possible. So, you know, at the lighter weights, we might be hitting sets of 8 to 10 just to get a little blood flow. But the second we start getting some weight on the bar, you'll see it, we'll touch it for 3s or 4s or even doubles as we're working up to our top set weight. Why? We want to save as much energy as possible for that top set. The only purpose of any, you know, the warm-up sets, feeder sets, primer sets, whatever the hell whoever you follow calls them, is to get you primed for that top set and get you ready to work safely. So that's the goal of the warm-up sets. today. We'll do 3 working sets here. All 3 of them will be straight sets. Another question we get asked a lot, I wanted to mention this, is how much do we reduce the weight for our back off sets by? And in our experience, 15 to 20% is typically the sweet spot for that, so especially if you're using a weight that stoned you at 8 to 12, somewhere in there, 15 to 20%. If you failed at 8, maybe reduce it by 20. If you got 11 or 12, reduce it by 15, but that's typically a sweet spot to end up back in that rep range of 8 to 12 on your back off set.
Come on. 9 and 10. Make it happen. Go, B. Keep on going. There's a 12. There's 11. Come on. Go. Up. Up. Come on, 9 and 10. Yes. Go for it. Up.
Good at that by the end.
That little static hold at the end, man. Part of the workout. All right, so we hit our reverse banded incline. We have our push day structured as we'll do all of our compound movements and then move on to our isolation movements. We've just found that to be most comfortable for us and get the most bang for our buck out of all the movements. So that being said, from that reverse banded incline, we're moving on to a reverse band, high incline or shoulder press, whatever you want to call it. Once again, with the band, you'll see how it's set up. 0 tension at the top, completely slack. And the way we have it set up on this one, just because the daisy chain and the height of that, there's really not any tension taken up till about halfway through the movement. So even less help than that 25 pounds you saw on the reverse band incline. The big thing with this is you'll see how much angle we still have in that bench. The angle is going to be dependent upon your structure. Bryan and I are bigger guys. We have pretty immobile shoulders and a lot of tissue everywhere. So you'll see we have the bench set in a way that when he does his set, he's got his top set loaded up. We've already done our feeler sets. But that forearm, just like on that incline reverse band, is straight up and down and moving in a very good arm path. And it's gripped in a way, a width, that at the bottom of the rep, we're still straight up and down and have that 90-degree angle. We're not out here, we're not in there. So those are things to keep in mind whenever you're doing this exercise and setting it up. So Bryan's about to full send his top set, and then it'll be me. Yes.
Come on. Yes. 7-8. 7-8. Make it happen. Yes, Bryan. Up. Get there. Go.
questions. But I matched last week's reps with 10 more pounds, so that's good. Alright guys, so we finished up with the compound motions for the day. We just did one press for chest, one press for shoulders, 3 working sets on the chest, the incline reverse band, and 2 working sets on the setup we use for shoulders. Moving on to the isolation exercises for the day. We're going to do probably 2 working sets of cuff laterals, and then 1 big drop set on a lateral machine they have here, and then 1 really hard set on the pec deck to finish it off. The lateral that we're going to do is a cuff lateral. Why do we do cuff laterals? For a myriad of reasons. Let me go down the most important ones though. With a dumbbell, because of gravity, when you're at the bottom of the rep, there is 0 tension on your delt because everything's pulling down. You don't start getting a lot of tension until your arm gets out here and the dumbbell starts pulling down and you're pivoting at your shoulder point. So you're losing all of the tension that you have through here. Enter the cable. When you're here, that cable's pulling your arm across your body. In order to maintain proper body positioning, you already have your delt activated. So from the very, very, very onset of the movement, your delt's fully activated and under the brunt of the weight. Couple more things to keep in mind why I like the cables more than using a dumbbell. It's very easy to brace using a cable, whether you're actually hanging like this or whether you're actually braced into it. It's very easy to brace yourself and minimize body English. The last thing that I like about doing cable laterals, and it's a function of the cable and the angles of the exercise, but with a cable, the most tension is when the cable is in a 90-degree relationship with the part it's on. So whenever I'm right here, you see 90-degree angle, this is the most tension that this will have. As you get through that exercise and you see that angle here decrease from a 90-degree angle to maybe a 45-degree angle, every time as that angle gets smaller and smaller and smaller, the weight drops off and off and off and off. So if you actually had this attached to a scale, it would be lighter up here than it would be down there. Why is that cool / important / beneficial? Because your muscle is strongest when it's longest. So at the bottom, it's the same reason when you're doing laterals with way too much weight with a dumbbell, you can get them like here, but you can't get them the rest of the way. It's because it's strongest at the beginning portion. So we're using the most weight or the most resistance when the muscle is longest and strongest. And as we move through that motion and the muscle contracts and it gets weaker and weaker, the angle is decreasing and we're actually getting less and less resistance. So it's a really good resistance profile for your shoulder as well. That's why we do cables. Actual execution of the way that I like to do these, I like having the cable equal or a little lower than your hand. What that does is that gives us that 90-degree angle when we're at the start of the exercise. If we're lower, it's even bigger than a 90. I just like it here to start at that 90 and it drops off as we do that lateral. Next thing you want to keep in mind is proper alignment. We want that pulley, your wrist, your elbow, and a shoulder all to be in relatively the same plane of motion. You don't want to be way back here, way up here. We want to have everything in a straight line, and we want to have it lined out. See if you're even with me? That wrist, elbow, shoulder, and cable are all in a relatively straight line. So the main isolation movement for our deltoid today was that cuff lateral. It's the one we really, focused on, built up to a hard top set of, 8 to 12 reps, and then did 2 back offs off of that. kind of switching gears, and it's something you won't see us do a lot of, but typically we'll do like one, movement per workout like this. The whole point of what we're doing here in the lateral machine is literally just to cause as much output in as short of a time as possible out of the muscle. I feel like shoulders especially are a muscle group that responds really well to, really dense work, if you will, meaning, like a lot of reps or a lot of weight like in a short period of time. So, the whole session we've trained how we train, which is, ample rest, very intense top sets, everything's very, metered and controlled. And like I said, shifting gears to this, the main purpose of this is to put as much blood and to cause as much fatigue as possible in a short amount of time. Not because it feels cool or because we're chasing a pump, but because you can cause a really awesome growth response by doing so. So, yeah, that's why we're doing this. So this set, while we're doing it, it's going to be a triple drop, meaning there's 3 cup sets to it. And then on the last stop, we'll do as many as we can, proper reps, and then we'll just bang out, 10 partials, just make it move as far as we can 10 times. Once again, with the goal being to cause as much fatigue and as much blood flow in as short a time as possible. And notice how even though it's a higher rep thing, every rep is still perfect and every rep looks the same. He's not flailing, he's not letting anything get out of position. He is owning every single rep, even though at this point he's probably done like 30 already. That saying popped out the other end of our leg session last time while we were training calves, and it's not hard, it just hurts. It's not hard to do. It just feels like someone's like digging an ice pick around it. That's most things bodybuilding though. It's not hard. It just takes some discipline. Hey. I don't know what to do with my hands. Alright guys, so that's a wrap on push day. About to go get in trunks. Today's the day we always look at me after we train, because it's like the pump, I guess, is most realistic to what we go for when I'm on stage. So I'm gonna get in my trunks and let Bryan take a look, and then I'm gonna proposition him for a cheeseburger because back somewhere after. So right now, post-workout meal is 150 grams of carbs from carb powder. The two that I prefer, highly branched cyclic dextrin or carbolin. And then 60 grams of protein from the new hydrolyzed isolate. So I've been eating 8 scoops a day of this for like the last 2 months, and my stomach is better now than it's ever been, because I went from doing 4 to 8 scoops a day, just I completely eliminated egg whites. I replaced egg whites with the hydrolyzed whey protein, and my digestion is so much better, it's not even funny. So I'm not saying try to drink 8 scoops of whey isolate a day, but I am saying that if your stomach's all messed up all the time and you drink egg whites or eat egg whites, maybe try replacing them. Give it a try. But anyways, yeah, we'll see y'all next time. What's up, guys? So we are sitting here at my parents' house, actually, celebrating my birthday. My birthday is in 2 days, but decided to do it on the weekend so we could have all the homies here. So I wanted to take a quick little break and answer some of the questions I got on the question and answer I posted on my Instagram today. So for those of you that don't know, I do a question and answer on my Instagram every off day. So like every 3 days pretty much. And going forward, since we're doing the YouTube series again, there's a good chance that the good questions will end up on YouTube in addition to getting answered on Instagram. So anyways, we're just gonna start going down and picking some of these and hopefully give y'all some good tidbits of information. First, let's see here. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, creatine. Haven't taken it forever. What's the creatine you recommend, and is it a game changer? Creatine, while it's not a game changer, it is honestly, if I had to say, probably the most researched sports supplement out there. It doesn't matter necessarily the ester you use, whether it's like a monohydrate or an ethyl ester or a crealkaline or any of the other branded ones out there. What matters is that you're consistent in taking it. Creatine is something that builds up in your skeletal muscle once you reach a point of saturation. It's like pouring water in an already full cup. All it's going to do is make your kidneys work harder and you're going to piss it out. It will make you stronger. It won't make you all watery and bloated like it's got a reputation for. It has that reputation because a bunch of high school kids take it and eat a bunch of shit food at the same time and blow up like blimps. But yeah, so all in all, creatine, great supplement.
Go get the gains, bro.
Right.
Mass. Don't mass.
Best way to take advantage of a post-show rebound. I'm gonna give you 2 cents and then I'll clean up on it.
I think it depends on the person, but what you should do is look at your diet a couple of weeks out and maybe start there. After a show, you should definitely enjoy some good food, and it was a lot of work, but you should, days later, maybe go back on plan, make sure that you keep your water very high, and don't be a jerk, but definitely enjoy some food. And follow your diet several weeks out, I would say, is a good starting point, and go from there. So you don't want to get super fat, but it is the point in time where your body is very responsive and you don't want to waste that time. So definitely take advantage of that period of time. And I like food, so yeah, I definitely eat after a show, and you should.
So he hit most of it. If I had to add anything to that, I'd add a couple things.
Water high. That's probably
the first and foremost is immediately after the show, you're gonna rebound. Drink a lot of water, because especially if you're a guy or even girls, I've heard of it happening. They eat a bunch of crap food, they don't drink any water, and they put on 12 or 15 pounds in a day or two, and their blood pressure's through the roof, and it just sets you up for a really bad situation. So like he said, enjoy a couple meals, but then get back on plan and make sure your water is extraordinarily high. I know people ask specific weeks and this or that for it. We've done this enough times now that I know, when I get done with the show, as long as my health markers are in check, because I will get my blood work done right after a show, as long as my health markers are in check, I really do like to keep my foot on the gas and push for 4 to 6 weeks after the show. And that's of course, giving myself, 4 to 6 days after the show to let myself rehydrate and stuff. But, once you feel normal again, like he said, it's a great time to really push calories and push for growth. Your insulin sensitivity is at an all-time high. Your body wants to grow. It wants to fill back out. It's a great time to put to use to grow. Moving on from that one. Let's see here.
If you didn't do a bunch of stuff to try to get in contest shape, then you're not going to have to stress about eating a little bit.
Okay, like yourself, I love cream of rice with whey, but don't you get hungry really fast after? It all depends. At the end of the day, cream of rice is just rice and whey protein, so yeah, that's going to digest quickly. It depends though. For me, yeah, when I'm dieting, I'm starving even after I get done eating it, but I'd be starving after I got done eating it if it was like sweet potatoes and chicken. It's just a matter of, how much food it is. Off season, whenever I'm eating 120 grams of carbs from cream of rice, I don't even want to look at it, and it keeps me full for 3 hours after. So I think that's more of a food volume thing and amount thing than it is the food type.
I pretty much eat my cream of rice and whey and get in the car and drive to the gym because I'm always hungry. And Pride Foods, cream of rice, by the way, always. And
yeah,
right
shameless plug on that, but also if you're a big guy like us and you eat cream of rice for multiple meals every day, the orange box will give you too much iron, like in a dangerous way after a while. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. Best tools for bowel movements during prep. Been getting backed up and bloated looking. I think this is a good one because I feel like a lot of people have issues with this.
I think it's making sure you're taking your digestive enzymes, making sure that your water's high and consistent, picking foods that you digest well. So, a lot of people can't drink egg whites. Some people can, but most people can't. So, keeping those foods that upset your stomach out, trying to figure that out. Eating foods that digest well, like white rice and stuff like that. Not having your fiber too high, having enough fiber. But really, it's taking your health supplements, probiotics when you need it, digestive enzymes, eating foods. Towards the end of prep, I always eat things like sauerkraut and stuff like that. That really helps my digestion, and it doesn't have any calories and adds some food volume because I'm always hungry. So I do a lot of things like that. I know with Liv, we eat some pumpkin. Pumpkin is not a ton of calories, helps your digestion, and kind of fills you up a little bit.
So, just adding to what he said, if constipation truly is a problem, especially with competitors, I feel like there's a couple issues that really surface regularly with it, and that first one is they're eating too much leafy green vegetables. I know you're on prep and I know you're starving, but don't eat more than a cup of vegetables per serving. They will definitely stop you up. And in an extreme example, our buddy Matt Schmidt, who won nationals in 2019, he was actually supposed to do it in 2018, the year I won it with me, but a couple weeks out from the show, he had a bowel obstruction from how much greens he was eating, and had to have surgery to get it cleared. So it's a very extreme example, but on the not so extreme side, having your leafy green vegetables excessively high definitely can stop you up. Some things to keep in mind that you can add if you are having issues that are relatively low calorie if you're on prep, and even if you're not on prep, they're great. Things to do is to introduce like a Metamucil or a psyllium husk supplement. Both of those will help you have regular bowel movements and really get things moving for you. The other big one, and it's one that he touched on, is make sure you're drinking enough water. I can't stress that one enough. One of the best things you can do for yourself is fresh out of bed in the morning, drink a liter of water. That's going to help so many things, but especially, if constipation's an issue. So let's do a couple more. Find some good ones. This is a quick and easy one. What shoes do you wear on leg days or when you rack pull? Is there anything to wear besides Vans? Let's see here. Bench press or dumbbell press, and why? Unless you're a competitive powerlifter, you should never flat barbell bench press ever. You can quote me on that.
You're picking exercises that fit you well.
Yeah. The only thing that we think about when we're training chest is what's the most comfortable angle for our shoulders and what puts us in a position to get the most abduction and adduction of our arm across our chest, which is the function of the chest. So that's, yeah. Which bands do we use for the hack squat, and how strong are they? All of the bands we use, regardless of the size, they're from Elite FTS. That being said, the ones that we use for the majority of our banding, whether it be reverse or normal, are the orange ones. We'll use 2 on the hack squat, and then we'll use 1 on any of the reverse banded pressing motions. The other band we use a lot from Elite FTS is the gray one. It's like twice as thick as the orange ones, and we'll use those for rack pulls, and we've been using one of them lately on the pendulum squat, which has been a really nice profile. So
I think those ones are called the average ones, which kind of
yeah, they named them really wrong. Yeah, the orange ones are light apparently.
But the ones we always band to make it harder are the average ones. We have a lot of kids here, so
yeah, it's a party. Who's your coach? Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on the day. Just kidding. It's fortunate. No, yeah, I got to touch on that for a second. It's pretty damn cool. Just this off season and this first 6 weeks of prep. It's very different. The way that people typically do it. If you're working remotely, even at my level, typically, the first, 6-8 weeks, you're doing once a week or maybe twice a week check-ins. And, that typically is enough. But, at this point, ever since we started my off season, I've trained with him every day. I've posed pretty much after every training session. At this point, he's getting fasted check-ins a couple times a week. And, it's really given us the ability to, fine-tune and keep things moving. There's no wasted days. And I feel like, a lot of the time, especially at the beginning, whenever, it's like, okay, well, we're comfy, we're cruising along. I feel like there's a lot of wasted time.
Absolutely.
Like you're either going way too fast or way too slow, way too fast from a sense that, you're going to end up down here and have nowhere else to go, or way too slow. Obviously, you're just getting behind. So I feel like those first couple weeks are, often overlooked, and I feel like it's a, big advantage having, been making daily adjustments almost even in the first 6 weeks of the prep. So
I think today is a perfect example of that. Today is an off day, and his food's still really high because he's got a crazy metabolism. But it's lower on the rest days, but not today because he's definitely flat and definitely needs food today. So we added a bunch of food today on his rest day, which is something most people are uncomfortable with too because it's a rest day. But today's going to be one of your higher calorie days. But
something Joe Bennett says a lot, and it's something I really agree with. I really think that your food has a lot more impact on the next day than it does the day of.
I do too.
So rest day nutrition, while I know it's a really hot thing right now to have, your rest day nutrition different, I know a lot of people go a lot lower carb, bump their fats even, or just go like completely low on everything. While there's a time and a place for that, do keep in mind that, your rest day is fueling the next day's training session.
So sometimes it needs to be higher.
Keep that in mind.
That's sometimes when the high days are in or when you have the cheat meals in. But that wouldn't happen if I wasn't coming over for your birthday today.
Huh?
We wouldn't have done that if I didn't come over today.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I think that's about it. Answer some questions. So like I said, keep an eye out on my Instagram. I do the Q&As every off day, so every third day. And then in the comments of this video, if you want to have a question answered, we are much more likely to see them on the YouTube video than my Instagram. So leave your questions in the comments of this video. We'll be sure to get to as many as we can next time. And keep it coming. We really appreciate the support. We're really getting to the nitty-gritty of this prep. Things are about to really get going. Not that they haven't already been moving, but it's about to really start changing really quick and really get the look together for what we're wanting to do. Him and I have been talking about it for a while now. It's one of those things you hear it talked about a lot, but we really want to be ready to the point where we're just maintaining the look by 14 days out, 2 weeks out. So 7 days to really chill, maybe even pull back on the cardio, get the body rested and fresh. But with the spot that I'm at right now, it means we royally screwed up if that's not the case, because we're way ahead right now. So
we got something to prove, and a lot of bullets left in the gun. So pretty exciting.
Definitely exciting. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch up with you Today is Saturday, so 2 days from now, my actual birthday, May 17th, I'm getting a big semi full of Prime equipment for my birthday. So we're actually going to catch up with y'all at the new Labrada gym. We're going to show you all the Prime stuff that we're getting that day. Him and I have the final floor plan laid out. We're going to get everything moved around. And then, you know, God willing, we're going to have our first leg session in there on Wednesday. So we'll have y'all there both for the unloading of the equipment and that leg session, regardless of whether or not it happens at the Labrada gym or a different gym. So looking forward to having y'all there for that.